Hi guys, Mr. B here, and today we're going to be looking at some SATs papers. So what I'm going to do is I'm running through the SATs paper, going through each question and showing you how to answer it. What I suggest you do is you download the paper from down there, print it off, and have a go at the paper yourself first. Then watch this video with your paper, run through, see if you've got the right answers. If you haven't, see where you made some mistakes and how you can correct those. Now, if any of the questions, if I have made any videos on that question that will help you out getting questions in future, if you've got more on them, I will put them up in the top corner. They'll come up, so you can click on them and you can have a look if you want to. That means if you're on a question, you got it wrong or you find it a little bit harder, if you click up there, it will show you how to do them. Now, I haven't done videos on all the different types of questions you will get yet, so all the ones I have done will come up, and if I do more in future, I will add them in. Okay, let's get on with the paper. The test that we're looking at today is the English Grammar, Punctuation and Spelling test from 2018, and this is paper 1, the SPaG test. Question 1. Insert a comma in the correct place in the sentence below. Although he was the youngest, Tom was one of the tallest. So as we can see here, we have a subordinating clause at the front, which means we need a comma after it. So it reads, although he was the youngest, Tom was one of the tallest. You can see if you read it there, you would naturally take a breath there. Normally means we need some form of punctuation. Question 2. Which sentence must end with a question mark? And we have 4 different ones here. Like you see, if you've seen me other test papers, what I like to do is rule out the ones that it isn't, and then that can help us find the ones that it is a little bit quicker. So what happened that day might never be known. Again, that doesn't need an answer, so we can rule out that one. What happened that day? Now, I would think that one needs a question mark, but let's check the other ones while we're here. Someone must know what really happened that day. Again, that doesn't need an answer, just a statement. And I'd like to know what happened that day. Again, doesn't need an answer. So the only one that needs an answer is that one, which is our question. Question 3. The prefix re can be added to the root word play to make the word replay. Tick the meaning of the word replay. Now, it's helping us a little bit in the question by mentioning re, okay? And we think about other words that have re in. So if you don't know what re means as a prefix, think of other words that you can think of. The first thing that comes to my mind is repeat, which is an obvious word that everyone knows means to do again. So if I have a look here, we have to play together, to play later, to play again, and to play badly. Okay, now the only one that would link in with repeat would be again. So play, we have this part of the word, and then our re is for our again. So replay means to play again. So we need to know what our prefixes means to help us work it out. But if you don't, use other words you know that have that prefix to help you work out the answer. Question 4. Tick one box in each row to show whether the sentence is a question, a statement, or a command. Again, have to be careful because we have to do 4 questions here technically, and we only get 1 mark, so we must need to get them all right. So we have a question, statement, or command. Let's go through them one by one. In autumn, many trees lose their leaves. Not a question, doesn't need an answer. You're not telling anyone to do anything, so it's not a command, so that must be a statement. Look at the trees carefully. Not a question because you don't need an answer, but you are telling someone to do something, so that is a command. Next, scientists are studying how trees can live for thousands of years. Again, doesn't need an answer. You're not telling anyone to do anything. It's a statement. And lastly, how can you tell a tree's age? Now that one needs a question because it's asking someone how to find out a tree's age, so that is a question. Sorry, it needs an answer there, not a question. Now don't get confused thinking there's got no question mark, so none of them are questions. They've left the punctuation off because obviously it will make it obvious if our question had a question mark on there. Add 2 commas to the sentence below to make it clear that Anna has 4 favourite things. Anna's favourite things are camping, holidays, cycling and swimming. Now we need our commas here because this could be camping holidays, but we've been told it's 4 things, so that's how we know it isn't camping holidays. So we need our commas for a list to get rid of this ambiguity. So Anna's favourite things are, let's have a count of 4, camping, holidays, cycling, swimming. Those are the 4 things, so we need to separate them in our list. Okay, with our commas. Remember, we don't need the one before the last one, before and swimming. So now it reads, Anna's favourite things are camping, comma, holidays, comma, cycling and swimming. Question 6. Tick the adverb in the sentence below. Tick 1.
The lively crowd cheered loudly when the rally car race began. Sorry about that. Okay, so the adverb. An adverb is a word that tells us more about a verb, which is a doing word. Okay, so let's have a look in here. So we have, first thing I'm going to do is look and see if there's any words I can get rid of straight away. Well, when, I know, is a subordinate and conjunction, so it's not that word. Okay, it doesn't tell us any more about any verbs. The lively crowd, that word is telling us more about this crowd word, a noun, so that must mean it's an adjective, so it can't be that one. Again, here we have the rally car. It's telling us what it is, not telling us about any verbs. That's a noun, so it can't be that one. So the lively crowd cheered loudly. It must be this one, because it's telling us how the crowd cheered. So this is our verb, and this is our adverb that's modifying it. Question 7. Insert a pair of commas in the correct place in the sentence below. My father, who works at the museum, gave my class a guided tour. So we need to put in a pair of commas in the sentence to make it make sense. Now, if you listen to me read this again, you can hear me naturally take a gap. My father, who works at the museum, gave my class a guided tour. So I left a gap here before who and here after museum. That's because this is a relative clause, and we know that because it starts with relative pronoun there, who, and we know that if you have a relative clause in the middle of a sentence, we need to have commas around it. Again, if you're not sure though, have a read the sentence, think where would you take the breaths, that's where I would have the commas. If I take this out, the sentence would still make sense on its own. My father gave my class a guided tour. That's how I know the commas go around there, making sure my answer is correct. Question 8. Which sentence is grammatically correct? Tomorrow we went shopping at the sales. In 3 weeks' time I will be on holiday. Next weekend we had gone to the river to fish. And last summer we swim at the beach and collect seashells. Now this is about asking us about our tenses and making sure we know how to use them correctly. If we look at this first one, tomorrow we went shopping in the sales. Okay, you can't, went is past and tomorrow is future tense. So that one doesn't make sense. In 3 weeks' time, I will be on holiday. That seems like it makes sense to me. Next weekend, we had gone to the river to fish. Next weekend, again, talking about something in the future. Had gone is past tense, so that doesn't make sense. And lastly, last summer, we swim at the beach and collect seashells. Last summer is past tense. We swim is present tense. That doesn't make sense on its own. So this one we thought might be right is the right answer. Question 9. Which verb is a synonym of the verb produce? Now this means we need to know what a synonym is. So a synonym is a word that means exactly the same. Okay, similar meaning mainly rather than exactly the same, which is the opposite to an antonym, which means a word that is the opposite. Synonym you may notice if you use computer programs like Word. If you right click on a word, you'll have synonym and it'll give you words that you would find in sort of a thesaurus of different words. So the verb produce. Okay, so we need to know what the verb produce means. So if I produce something, I'm making it. Okay, so it would be make. So make is the same as produce. Question 10. Which sentence is a command? You should bring a coat. You will need a coat in case it rains. I'm going to bring a coat. Bring a coat in case it rains. Okay. Now this one, our first one, you should bring a coat, is a suggestion. You're not telling someone to do something. You're not saying they have to. The second one, you will need a coat in case it rains. You're giving some advice. Okay, you're not telling someone to do something. I am going to bring a coat. That person there is telling them what they are doing, not telling someone else to do something. Bring a coat in case it rains is telling someone to do something. So that is our command. Question 11. Draw a line to match each prefix to a word to make 4 different words. So this comes mainly about the different prefixes you've learned, and also the more you read, the more you're going to see words. And when we listen to some of these, some of them will sound correct, some of them won't, and that'll just come mainly from how much you read. So that's why, another thing why it's really important. So we've got im. So let's try the 4 and see which one you think. Incorrect. I know that's not right. Immature. That's definitely a word I recognise. Infortune, don't recognise. Imable. So this one must be immature. In, so now we only got 3 left. Incorrect. Definitely sounds right. Infortune, inable. Okay, that's definitely incorrect. So N, I've got infortune and enable. Enable is the only word I recognise, so it must be that one. And we have miss, we only have one left. Misfortune, definitely a word. What you do with those, if you're unsure, do the ones that you've heard of. So if you weren't sure with the in one, go down to your in. Incorrect. I'm sure most of you have heard the word incorrect, so you know that one's right. Check with the other ones, incorrect, incorrect, miscorrect. Those ones aren't words, so that must be incorrect. Again, that rules out one of them, makes it easier to find your answer if you're unsure. Question 12. Which option completes the sentence in the past perfect? Soon after a Frenchman something, the first land speed record, it was broken. So we have to put one of these in. Now, if you know about your tenses, you know about your past perfect, then you'll know past perfect always has had in it before the verb. So we have had there, so it must be that one. But if you weren't aware of that, don't worry, just go through each one, see if it sounds right. Soon after the Frenchman has set the first land speed record, it was broken. Doesn't work because this isn't past. Soon after the Frenchman set the first land speed record, it was broken. So it could be that. Soon after a Frenchman was setting the land speed record, it was broken. Doesn't make sense, so it couldn't be that one. So, even if you weren't aware that the past perfect had set in, so it's that one, you would be down to 2, so you'd have a 50-50 chance of the answer. Question 13. Which sentence is written in standard English? Basically means makes grammatical sense. So when we read it, it makes sense. Let's read through and see which one we think sounds right. 2 sports teams come to our school yesterday. Well, that should be came with past tense, so it's not that one. My friend was tidying the classroom. That sounds to me. Let's check the other ones. Today the children done their school play. This should be did. So that one doesn't make sense. The teachers was going to send a letter out next week. That doesn't make sense. It should be were because that is plural. More than one. Okay, remember was for singular and were for plural. So we were right. This is our correct one. Question 14. Tick the sentence that uses a dash correctly, okay? Again, this is people will be like really worrying about a dash thing. I don't know how to use them. Dash is another form of parentheses. In other words, it can replace a comma. So, let's have a look. Where would a comma go? I find baking tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. Would take a breath. That sounds like it makes sense to me. Let's check the others. I find bacon tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. Does it make sense? Okay, because things to go wrong is all one thought, so we don't need a hyphen in there. I find baking tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. Again, doesn't make sense if we leave that gap in there. Okay, this isn't a full thought. I find baking what? So not that one. I find baking tricky. I find baking tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. That one doesn't make sense. Again, look, this isn't a full thought. There are. Okay. Too many things to go wrong. Again, if we look out, like with a comma with parenthesis, we take it out, it should make sense on its own. So we're going to take this one because we know it's true, but let's just have a double check. We'll take this out. I find baking tricky. Makes sense on its own. Question 15. What is a grammatical term for the underlined part of this sentence? In other words, it's saying, what is this part that's underlined? So Charlie spilled his juice, but it didn't go on his shirt. Let's have a look. An adverbial. So this means a set of words that are working like an adverb, telling us more about a verb. Is this telling us more about a verb? Charlie spilled his juice. No, it's not. It's actually got a verb in it, so it can't be that one. A main clause. Our main thought in a sentence makes sense on its own. Let's have a check, see if it does that. Charlie spilled his juice. Certainly does, so let's check the other ones. A noun phrase, okay? So, Charlie spilled his juice. Main thing we need to remember about noun phrases is they don't have verbs. We've already mentioned here, there's a verb, so it can't be a noun phrase. And lastly, a subordinating clause. Subordinating clause is adding extra information on to our main clause. Unlike a main clause, it doesn't make sense on its own. We already know this makes sense on its own, so it must be a main clause. Question 16. Which sentence must not end with an exclamation mark? You don't always have to use an exclamation mark. Sometimes you can use a full stop instead. It's always about choice of the writer. That's why it says must not end. So we have to pick one that certainly couldn't. So let's read them through and think which one definitely couldn't. What a hilarious film that was. Could have one on. I love the opening scene. Again, could have one on. Was the ending funny? Now this one is a question, which means it must end in a question mark. So this one couldn't end in exclamation. Let's check our last one. I have never laughed so much. Again, could have an exclamation, so we know that one is right. Insert a colon in the correct place in the sentence below. Now we use colon to start a list, so let's have a look where a list starts. There are two places that I have always wanted to visit, the Arctic and Antarctic. So it's a very short list, only two things in it, but our list is the Arctic and Antarctic, so our colons would go there. Okay, remember a colon is two dots, not like a semicolon. That is the one that is a full stop and then a comma. Don't put that one in. It's two dots. 18. Which sentence uses the underlined word as a noun? So we need to have a look. Which one's a noun? Dancers must be very fit and athletic. It's telling us about this dancer here. Telling us about the noun, so that must be an adjective. Can't be that one. Can I help you with the jigsaw? Again, something that we're doing here. Helping. So that's a verb. Can't be that one. We heard thunder, but we did not see any lightning. Now that one sounds to me like it's a noun. So let's check the last one. The ocean is grey. An easy adjective to spot there, telling us about our noun. So that's an adjective. So it must be this one, because it can't be that last one. Question 19. Which sentence is punctuated correctly? Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Can't be that one. We've got a comma here as if this is a list, and even if it was a list, we wouldn't have one after the and. So that is completely in the wrong place. Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Okay? Again, if you try to read it out with the gap where the comma is, it'll always help us, and that doesn't sound right. So we can't take that one. Again, if we read this on the sentence, lately the day doesn't make sense on its own. Have been growing noticeably longer and warm. Again, doesn't make sense on its own. Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Again, this one doesn't make sense on its own. Lately, the days, we need more information. Have been growing noticeably longer and warm. Doesn't make sense on its own. So we don't have any main clause, so it can't be this one. Again, we don't have a comma next to our and in a list, so we definitely know not this one. So let's hope this last one makes sense. Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Lately is our fronted adverbial, and we have the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Makes sense on its own. We have a main clause in that one, so that one must be right. Question 20. Explain how the modal verb changes the meaning of the second sentence. Now don't worry if you don't know what a modal verb is, read the question slowly. The sentence is the same, there's only one word that's different. Go has changed to might go. So might must be our modal verb. So even if you don't know what a modal verb is, you could still answer this question and see how this sentence is different. Now, modal verb tells us about possibility. Okay, so in the first sentence, they definitely did go. In the second sentence, it's a possibility that they might go. They could go. Okay, so your answer should be something around in the first answer, they were definitely going. In the second answer, it is something they could do, or it has changed how possible it is that they're going. Question 21. Which word class is the underlined word in the sentence below? My brother thinks that football is an amazing game. So, and we need to see what word class that is. Now, an adverb tells us more about a verb. This word here isn't telling us more about a verb, so it's not that. Adjective tells more about a noun, isn't telling us more about a noun. And a conjunction joins two clauses. It's not joining two clauses, so this is a determiner. Determiner is a word that tells us which noun it is referring to. Is an amazing game. Okay, it could be the amazing game or a amazing a game. So that word is a determiner. Question 22. Insert a subordinate conjunction to show that we ate lunch and listen to music at the same time. I've underlined at the same time there because that's the most important one, because a lot of people here might put the word and in, but and isn't right because it's not a subordinating conjunction, it's a coordinating conjunction, one of our fanboys. Okay, so in here we have to write a subordinating conjunction, that means it at the same time, And the easiest one we want to put in there is while. So we listened to the music while we ate our lunch. While meaning we're doing it at the same time. Question 23. Complete the sentence below with a noun formed from the verb invent. Okay, question sounds a bit complicated, but all it means is a word where invent is the root word. Put it in here to make the sentence make sense. So the engineer thought that her latest something would solve the problem. So if we change the word there, we can change that to invention. So the engineer thought her latest invention would solve the problem. Again, if you just read the question, think about it, you can get that answer there. Replace, underline the words with the correct pronoun. Write one pronoun in each box. So pronoun is a word that replaces a proper noun. So when Jack's grandmother came to stay, she gave him, we will replace Jack with some money. He used this money to buy a game called Gables. Jack could not wait to get home and play the new game. Play it. Again, place those words with them. Does your sentence make sense there after it? Which sentence is the most formal? Now this can be tricky sometimes because it can be sort of a matter of opinion, but there's some things to look out for. Firstly, I would look for when we have contractions here. Shouldn't. I would normally say you shouldn't watch too much TV. It's more suggestion, not really formal, because should not would be more formal. Okay, so we can get rid of that one. Let's have a look at this first one. Watching too much television should be avoided. It sounds quite formal to me. Let's see if there's any more formal than that. Watching lots of TV isn't a good idea. Lots of TV isn't really formal. Okay, normally would have an exact amount there if it's being more formal. You really should try not to watch loads of telly again. More of a suggestion. So we would say watching too much television should be avoided would be our most formal. Question 26. Jane wants to know if the band is playing at the festival. Write the question she could ask to find out. Remember to punctuate the sentence correctly. So this is looking for a question mark on the end. So if Jane wants to know if the band is playing at the festival, we can just put is, and I apologise for my writing here, I am using my mouse. Is the band playing at the festival? Now be very careful, make sure you don't spell any words incorrectly, especially if they are up above there. Very important, remember your capital letter at the start, remember your question mark. Okay, it's telling you to punctuate your sentence correctly. I think it's mainly looking for your question mark here, but your question has to make sense as well. Question 27. Underline the subject of the sentence below, which is what is this sentence about? In this sentence, the tightrope walker carried a balancing pole is about the tightrope walker. So we would underline the tightrope walker. The tightrope walker will probably get the answer as well, but tightrope walker is what this sentence is about. Question 28. Write the name of the punctuation that could be used instead of commas in the sentence below. So let's read the sentence. Somehow, after much swaying and rocking, the tightrope walker managed to regain his balance. So we have our two commas here. What we always have to remember is commas give us parenthesis, which is information which is not needed. If we took that out there, we'd see it still make sense on its own. Somehow the tightrope walker managed to regain his balance. And there's two other forms of punctuation we use instead of commas. We can either use dashes, so you could write down there a dash or dashes. Or to get the answer as well, you could also write brackets, because we can use brackets for parenthesis as well. So either of those would get you the answer. Again, the same as well. If you had brackets in there or dashes, you could replace them with commas, because they all swap, column will be swapped around depending on what style of writing it is or what style you're going for to insert parentheses. Question 29. Click, click, click. Question 29. Circle the most formal option in each box below to complete the invitation. Now this can be tricky because a lot of people struggle with formal and sometimes it can be opinion, so this is quite a tricky question. So we need to look together which is the most chatty one you would use with your friends, which is the one you'd expect from an invitation you maybe get for someone who's, I don't know, quite posh or quite well spoken. Let's have a look there. We would like to invite you to either a catch-up, celebration, get-together. I'll definitely think celebration there would be going with as the most formal. To mark this, fab, really cool, momentous occasion. Okay, really cool and fab don't really sound formal. Momentous sounds very formal. And lastly, it will start up, commence or kick off at 5 p.m. Again, look at those words, start up, kick off, not really formal. Commence is the words that we would use there. Click, click, click. Question 30. Tick one box in each row to show whether the underlined noun is singular or plural. Okay, plural means more than one, singular obviously means singular one. Okay, now the hardest thing here is we have apostrophes, so we don't know whether our S's are for possession or for being plural. But if we have looked and studied about apostrophes, we will know if we have an apostrophe after the word, like we do here, we are talking about plural, because what we're talking about is plural and possession. So the customer's hunger was satisfied by the pizza means there was more than one customer and it was their hunger, belongs to them. The princess's slippers, now this is before the S, so this is just showing possession. It's saying that the slippers belong to the princess, so we're not talking about more than one princess. And then this lastly, those are the boys' books. Apostrophe after the S means we're saying there's more than one boy, but they're also that the books belong to the boy. But because there's more than one, we have there. So if you have a word with an apostrophe at the end, it's shown possession and it's shown plural. Question 31. What is the word class of each underlined word? Joseph has beautiful writing. So the word there is telling us more about the noun, it's describing it. So that would be an adjective. And on our next sentence, Joseph writes beautifully. This word here is telling us about this word, telling us how he writes, which is a verb. And again, we've got ly at the end to help us out. Remember, lots of adverbs have ly at the end. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. This one included. And it's telling us more about the verb, which means it is an adverb. Question 32. Which sentence is the most formal? Another one of these questions. Again, I'll have a quick glance over and see this straight away has a contraction in it. You don't tend to see in questions like this contractions in formal ones, so I'm going to rule that one out. If Johnny's late, we'll start without him. Sounds quite informal as well. Okay, this one, we have an exclamation mark at the end. We tend again, in questions like this for the SATs, you might have them in actual formal text, but in order to show that it's not formal in SAT questions, you tend to have punctuation like this. So don't forget to lock the door. Again, suggestion, exclamation mark, not that one. So we have two now. She suggested that her mother be present and she really hopes to be ready on time. Again, this one sounds more formal, okay, than this one. Okay, so they're both suggesting, but this one actually has the word suggested in, and her mother be present. Sounds very formal, so this would get our tick. Question 34. Circle the 4 prepositions in the sentence below. With prepositions, if you forget what they are, I always think of this part of the word, positions, because a preposition tells us where something is. Okay, so if we're circling them below the 4, we've got on, across, along, and over. So they're telling us where things are or where things are happening. So it's our prepositions, telling us a position in they are happening in. Question 34. Insert one hyphen and one comma in the correct place in the sentence below. My grandmother is a ballroom dancing champion, poet and singer. Well, already I can see there, I left a gap here because that's a list. so we must have our comma there. So now we just need to look for the hyphen. Now if we just got one hyphen there, can't be being used for parenthesis unless it was on the end, but we know it's not on the end because we've got a list on the end there, the ballroom dancing champion, poet and singer. So we need to see where it's showing two words to explain the meaning. So we've got a hyphen in here, ballroom dancing, because ballroom and dancing go together to tell us what it is that she is champion of. Question 35. How does the position of the apostrophe explain how the position of the apostrophe changes the meaning of the second sentence? Question 35. Explain how the position of the apostrophe changes the meaning of the second sentence. What are your brother's favourite toys and what are your brother's favourite toys? We can see that the apostrophe has moved to the end. I've already mentioned this earlier on in the test. When we have it on the end there, it's shown as plural possession, which means there's more than one brother in both instances. Okay, but this is saying these favourite toys belong to the brothers. Okay, so what we'd have there is if you wrote something like it's shown as plural possession, or in the second sentence it shows us that the favourite toys belong to the boys, then you would get the answer for that. Question 36. Which two sentences use punctuation to show parenthesis? So let's have a look there. Now, first one we're going to look is this bottom one. On Tuesday, we'll be selling cakes for charity. So we have this comma here, but that's separating the adverbial phrase at the start. So that's not shown as parenthesis. Remember, parenthesis is extra information that's not needed in the text. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one. There are some books, including storybooks, in the cupboard. Remember, we can use dashes, commas, or even brackets to include parentheses. So this could be, let's take this out, there are some books in the cupboard. Okay, that makes sense on its own. To make space, we move the chairs, tables, and boxes of the game. So this comma here is being used in order for a list. So don't think that these two are working together. This is separating this part off from the start. Now this one's a little bit tricky. Okay, because this last one, our classroom at the end of the corridor has a red door. Again, this looks like some parenthesis here. So we have our two parentheses, so our two ticks would go here. Now, I understand some of you might think it's this one. Okay, because to make space is technically a subordinating clause, because we move the chairs, tables and boxes of games makes sense on its own. So this one is using punctuation. What I would do in that one, in the question, have a look. These two are both the same. We've got parenthesis in the middle of the question, so I'd go for that one. But that one is a really tricky question and not one really that I think I agree with the answer. I don't think that one should be in there. Question 37. Underline the relative clause in each sentence. We visit the fun fair that came to our town. My uncle who lives in Australia has sent me a present. My friend whose rabbit I look after is on holiday. So a relative clause is a clause, again, it's a type of parenthesis, but it always starts with a relative pronoun, so they're easy to spot. So we visit the fun fair that came to our town. Take it out, doesn't make sense on their own. We visit the fun fair, yes. My uncle who lives in Australia, just to there, sorry, that bit. That's what you're underlining. Who lives in Australia, because again we've got who as a relative pronoun. Sorry, I forgot to circle that, which is a relative pronoun there. So my uncle has sent me a present, makes sense on its own. That's our relative clause. My friend whose rabbit I look after. We've got our whose, which is our relative pronoun. And let's read it without that bit. My friend is on holiday. So we've got our three underlined relative clauses there. Make sure you look for that relative pronoun, learn what they are. There's not that many, so it will really help you get some marks in your SPaG test. And once you've underlined it, have a look and see if it makes sense without this part in. So if I just underlined to here, okay, didn't include the after, my friend after is on holiday, doesn't make sense on its own, so I know I need to include more. If I'd included the extra is, my friend on holiday, sort of makes sense, but the rabbit I look after is, doesn't make sense on its own, so you get the picture. So question 38, rewrite the underlined verbs in the simple past tense. So basically change these words into past tense. So during the winter months, the sun did not appear high in the sky and the days were please make sure you put were in and not was. Remember, were is for plural, and we're saying days, which is more than one, so it's were, not was. Okay, and that will get us our mark for question 38. Question 39. What is a grammatical term for the underlined words in the sentence below? That would be a noun phrase. So my prize was a fluffy green pencil case with a gold zip. Okay, now if you put expanded noun phrase, you would get the mark as well, because both of those would be right. But as I'm writing with my mouse, I'm just writing noun phrase, as that would take a long time. So remember, a noun phrase doesn't have a verb in, so a fluffy green pencil case with a gold zip doesn't have it. We just have our pencil case here, which is our verb and our determiner. So that's a noun phrase, a pencil case. Then we have extra information about the pencil case, which is making it an expanded noun phrase. So fluffy and green adjectives with a gold zip as well, adding more information. Question 40. Tick one box in each row to show whether the sentence is written in active or passive. Now, this is the one people can find tricky. Now, the easy way to spot where the difference between active voice and passive voice is in passive voice, the verb, so what is being done, comes before the noun that's doing it, and in active voice, the person or the subject that is doing the verb comes before the verb. So let's have a look at an example. So the lost dog was found by the children. So here's our verb, found, and it's the children that are doing this. They're the subject. They are finding the dog. It's not the dog. It's the dog is being found, but it's the children who are finding him. So because the noun is after, that is passive. Everyone heard the thunder. Again, we have our verb here, and this is the subject that is doing the verb. So everyone is hearing the thunder. So that is active because it comes before. Nicole was riding her bike, so we have our verb, riding, and it's Nicole who is doing it. She's our subject, comes before the verb, so we have active voice. Question 41. Rewrite the sentence below as direct speech. Remember to punctuate your sentence correctly. I asked her if she needed any help. So direct speech means we're using inverted commas, and it's exactly what someone said. So we've already got our comma leading into it, so that's good. So we need our inverted commas first, and always remember, some people forget this, a capital letter at the start of your speech, okay, because it's telling us to remember to punctuate our sentence correctly. So if you write everything right, inverted commas and everything, you won't get the mark if you haven't got the capital letter. I asked her if she needed any help. So have a think, how would you say that? If you were asking someone if they needed help, you wouldn't say, I asked you if you needed help, okay? You would say something like, do you need any help? Question mark. It's a question, so there's lots of punctuation to remember here. Okay, don't think it's inverted commas because I'm doing direct speech, and just focus on that. You need to remember your capital at the start. It's a question here. I asked her, so we would have a question mark. And remember as well, you wouldn't say, does she need any help? You'd say, do you need any help? Okay, so remember to change the language into first person. Question 42. Circle the possessive pronoun in the sentence below. When Mum saw that I was wearing Olivia's glove, she wanted to know where mine were. Remember, pronoun is a word that replaces a noun in the sentence, normally a proper noun, and possessive means belongs to someone. So, here, when Mum saw that Olivia was wearing Oliver's gloves, she wanted to know where mine were. It would be mine here, because possessive, it's saying that they belong to her, and we're using mine instead of the character's name. Question 43. Rewrite the two sentences below as one sentence using appropriate coordinating conjunction. Remember to punctuate your answer correctly. Remember, coordinating conjunction is your fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Okay, so we have any one of those in the middle here. Well, any one that's appropriate, we put it in the middle to join the two. If you were a bit stuck by this, okay, and it worries you, coordinate conjunction in the test, whereas you just think, well, I need to join these to make one sentence, so think of a word that puts in, and you're more than likely to use one of these. We have time to play a game, we will have to finish it before dinner. Okay, so we would write that sentence, but we would put but in the middle, Okay, and remember we wouldn't need a capital for our we because it wouldn't be a new sentence now. It says remember to punctuate your answer correctly, so remember your capital at the start, your full stop at the end. Apart from that, everything should be good. Question 43. Underline the adverbial in the sentence below. Remember, adverbial means an adverbial phrase, so a group of words that do the same job as an adverb. So, adverb tells us more about a verb. So this tells us, this is why we need to remember that we can't just look for ly words when we're looking for adverbs, because there are none in this one. So, has is our verb, okay, and this is our adverbial. Okay, we can see it's a front adverbial, comma at the start, makes it a bit easier to spot. It is telling us when Felix has the dental appointment, so it's telling us more about the verb. Question 45. Circle the relative pronoun in the sentence below. We've looked at these a little before. The boy who is our relative pronoun. Again, there are only a few. If you learn them, it will help you get some points on your test when we're looking at relative pronouns and relative clauses, because it makes it easy to spot a relative clause. Most of them start with W, who, when, things like that. The only one that really doesn't is that. Question 46. Add a suffix to the word below in the boxes to complete the sentences. So we've looked at prefixes earlier in the test. Now we're looking at suffixes. Suffixes go on the end of words to change them. So our school believes in equal for all pupils. We know that doesn't make sense, so we're going to have to add something to the end. So our school believes in... So just sit there if you're not sure and think what word would go in there. What have you heard? Equality. We took addition clause in case it turned cold. Again, do the same. Just think in your head, what word have I heard before? What word would go in there? So we've got addition, and we're going to put EL on the end, so it's additional clothing in case it turned cold. Question 47. Circle each word that should begin with a capital letter in the sentence below. Okay, so it says each word, more than one. Okay, that's very important. We know our first word should have a capital letter to start of a sentence. Zanzibar is a proper noun. It's the name of a specific place. Indian Ocean is as well. So there's two there, Indian and Ocean. Be careful that you don't just put Indian, because Indian Ocean is its full name. And off the coast of Africa, again, another proper noun. So we should circle all those words. Circle the 4 verbs in the passage below. Remember verbs, our doing word. It's been nice, it's telling us how many are. Okay, there's some easy ones to spot. Okay, we've got our ing words, circling, searching, gathered, things that people are doing, so those should help us find them quite quickly. The one that might be a bit tricky to find is were, okay, because that is the past tense of to be, okay, and being something is you're doing something, okay, so were is our last one. Question 49. Rewrite the underlined verb in the sentence below so it is in the present progressive. Now this one again, when you see this tense, that might scare you. Present progressive, I don't know what that means. Have a look at the word, see if you think you know what they mean. Progressive, if you progress means you're doing something. Present means now, okay? So present progressive is when you're doing something now. Okay, so I taught my sister to skateboard is something you do in the past tense. We wanted to say something you're doing now. So I am teaching. Okay, it's happening in the present, and it's something that you are doing, you are teaching at this minute. So that will be your answer for question 49. And the last question asks us to underline the subordinating clause in the sentence below. Hassan and I are going to our dance class. We are going to be late as we miss the bus. Now this is trying to trick you because we have a semicolon here. Remember, we don't use a semicolon for a subordinating clause though. If we're using a semicolon, we're adding on another bit of a sentence that's closely linked to this sentence, but that would make sense on its own, and that's not what a subordinating clause does. So the easiest thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my subordinating conjunction. So Hassan and I are going to our dance class, and is a coordinating conjunction, so there's none in that one. We are going to be late as. Now I know as is a subordinate conjunction, so as we miss the bus. Does it make sense on its own? No, so it could be a subordinating clause. Let's see if the rest of the sentence, after the semicolon, makes sense without it. We are going to be late. Makes sense on its own, so that will be a subordinating clause. And there we should have done all 50 questions.
found that video useful, guys, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. You'll get notifications of any videos that I put up as and when I do. Please share it if you know anyone that will benefit from this and find it useful. And if you've got any questions or anything, comment or use the Twitter or the Facebook page. Till next time, see you later.